magic, plot holes, and a lot more questions that I have to ask. But before we get into that, please subscribe, please like the video, please share, please leave a comment with your thoughts, whether you agree, disagree, what are your personal thoughts on Star Trek Picard. So in this episode review, we are going to be discussing Maps and Legends, episode 2, and we're going to discuss some of my thoughts on it. So this episode, it was slower paced than the previous episode. So if the previous episode was kind of a little bit faster, this was slower, and we got a number of revelations, but not too much really happened. This is like a build-up episode in a sense. Build-up episode to Picard heading out back into space, trying to get his Starfleet credentials reinstated so he can travel through official channels. But obviously that does not go the way Picard plans. So we begin with them investigating Picard and one of his Romulan house aides investigating where Daj is. Now this is kind of perplexing to me, how they have a piece of technology that can literally recapture an exact moment which they so happen to also need for their plot from a single molecule or whatever evidence. Like, I mean, oh my god, like this technology, apparently the Romulans didn't just invent this like last year. They had it for a while. I mean, this puts the tricorder to shame. Does Starfleet have anything like this? And if not, like, holy shit, like the Romulans have a huge technological advantage over the Federation when it comes to this technology. With this technology, the Romulans could have done all types of crazy stuff, found out all types of Federation secrets. Why do they bother sending these the secret organization, the Zad Vash, I think it's called. I might have butchered that name, I don't know. Why don't they just use these types of technology to just find out whatever information they need, because apparently they can give whatever information they coincidentally need. This technology doesn't make sense. How do you get such a moment with exact pictures and details from a molecule or from one piece of evidence or this or that? Like do these things contain like if I grab one of my cells, does it contain some time stamped memory or moment that can be extracted? I mean, this seems like a little bit of magic. I mean, we have Q for a reason. We have these omnipotent beings for a reason, but technology being able to do this seems a bit too fantastical for Star Trek. It seems more along the lines of something you would see in Star Wars, right? So this technology was interesting. It took me out of the moment. It definitely made me not immersed in Star Trek. Star Trek, even with its fantastical elements, always for the most part tried to stay, well, quote unquote realistic, if you can use that term. But they try to base their stuff in real life science, right? The warp drive is based on the Alcubierre or whatever it's called drive, right? A lot of the technologies they had, right? We have cell phones now, so it all had a realistic element, like supernovas. It takes time. They don't just happen magically, right? All types of things. So that was perplexing to me. That was taking me out of the moment, and I didn't like it. Overall, I mean, what can I say? That part really bothered me. I enjoyed the emotion that Jean-Luc Picard, or rather, Patrick Stewart displayed playing Jean-Luc Picard. I understand why he would dislike sci-fi, because he's literally in one, and that part I don't know if that's really Jean-Luc Picard as much as it is Patrick Stewart, because Patrick Stewart has a lot of influence on this show. He himself has stated that getting to the role was pretty easy for him. In a way, he is Jean-Luc Picard in a sense, right? That's a character he played, and he's known for the most, other than X-Men and so forth. But for me, that part is the heart of Star Trek Picard. That part is what keeps me watching. That part is what keeps me watching the episode. Just seeing Picard, literally just seeing him. Even if I disagree with some of the directions with his characters, and I'll forgive them for some of that. That's fine. I'll accept it. just seeing Patrick Stewart one last time is it's just heartwarming. It really does bring back a lot of nostalgia factor, which is, in a way, on a side note, is kind of disappointing that they decided to bring in a new crew, if you will, a ragtag band of crews, instead of the old Next Generation crew. Because this series is probably the last time we're gonna see these actors or have a chance to see them, because they're not getting any younger, and they're not gonna invest in a new Star Trek series going into the future with these characters, right? If they're gonna go into the future, I feel like, and I had this theory, I've been saying it for a while, I feel that they should have CBS, before starting a new Star Trek, instead of starting with Discovery, they should have had an anthology series, right? Where in the anthology series they focus on each episode or whatever, I don't know, maybe anthology series for each of the original 90s Trek, TNG, DS9, and Voyager, or have one where in different episodes we see some of the different characters, the legacy characters, right? And we close out some of their stories. I feel like Sisko's story had more to tell. He said he was going to come back to Cassidy Yates. Well, is Sisko back in this 20-year gap in Star Trek Picard? What's Janeway doing? Is she still an admiral? Is she retired? Does she still have relations with Q? Is she married? Does she have kids? What happened to Kira? What happened to Bashir and Section 31? And what happened to O'Brien? What happened to Jake? What happened to Riker and Troy and Geordi LaForge? And what happened to Wesley Crusher? Is he like is he traveling the galaxy with his powers now, stopping time and things like this? What's happening? And I felt that this show was a huge missed opportunity for that. I know most of it would have been fan service and nostalgia, but that's not a bad thing. Having such an anthology series would have been good transition into a new Star Trek, right? You might have, in that anthology series, introduced some new character, a new captain, this and that, and launched a traditional Trek. And from that traditional launch Trek, they could have launched other shows with different flavors and tastes, right? And that would have been, I think, smart. That would have given our beloved characters, maybe have a series where Janeway, Sisko, Picard, and the crews from each one, or whoever is available and alive. Unfortunately, some of them passed away, like Aaron Eisenberg, Renee, who played Odo, I'm sorry, I can't say his name, I apologize. But Renee, who played Odo, he passed away, right? None of these actors are gone, right? This would have been the perfect opportunity to bring them back, bring back Quark, all these, just throughout this couple season anthology series where they're trying to save the Federation from some threat, and they do, and that leads into some new series with new characters, right? And if that series was run by Rick Berman one last time, one last ride, and in that process they trained a new showrunner, a new person to helm Star Trek, instead of just giving to people that don't care about Star Trek or science fiction, who seem to want to rip off Battlestar Galactica with the whole synth storyline and this idea of rogue synths and humans, and are they human? They got biological, whatever, right? It's indistinguishable from humans and things like that, and other sci-fi shows that do it much better. Star Trek is best when it's Star Trek, not when it's trying to be other shows and being bad at it. So that's just what I felt was a missed opportunity. And seeing, him gathering his crew in this episode, going to, that woman in that trailer or whatever, I don't know if it's Earth or not, it just I don't know. I just felt they missed a big opportunity. Anyways, moving on. We also see Daj's sister, I forget her name, in the Borg cube. She has sex with that Romulan guy who kind of looks like Spock. I don't know why they're obsessed with these bearded Vulcan Romulans, ruggedy type of guys. I don't know. I guess it's cool, edgy, whatever. And we find out in this episode that he's working with another secret, with those Romulan secret agents who apparently infiltrated Starfleet. We get 2 Starfleet officers who look like Vulcans, but are probably Romulan agents who are in Starfleet. So Section 31, I guess that went over their heads. They've infiltrated Starfleet, and I guess that kind of explains some of the isolationism of the Federation. But at the same time, I mean, my God, the Federation is infiltrated on such a deep level. Even the Changelings didn't get this deep. And I just feel that this wasn't necessary. I feel that because of what Star Trek should be, in my view, right, a hopeful future, they didn't need to do this to the Federation. And I don't like what they've done to the Federation. This isolationist approach, this more prejudiced approach, this cold. I don't feel happy when I watch this show. I don't feel happy. I didn't feel happy when I watched Discovery Season 1. I have not watched Season 2. I don't feel hopeful, right? I don't feel like I'm being challenged with these modern day issues allegorically by facing other alien species or out there somewhere, in the demilitarized zone or something like that, right? The whole idea of humans on Earth, they're in paradise, but the humans, the Maquis, that involves humans, the Vulcans, etc. They're displaying certain characteristics we wouldn't expect, but because they're not in the place, they're out. So I don't know. I just don't know how I feel about this level of infiltration. And also when Picard goes to the Admiral, this white lady, he is disrespected so hard that I cannot believe realistically that anyone had the gall to do this to Jean-Luc Picard. The man have literally saved the Federation on multiple occasions, from the Borg through time travel, using Q. He's literally saved the freaking humanity itself in all good things. Like, this man gave his life for Starfleet. This man is the highest ideal of Starfleet and the Federation, and this all she has to say is that he has hubris, and she uses the F-bomb. I wouldn't want my kids to watch this show. I don't want them to hear the F-bomb. Keep it PG-13 or low. Keep it like Star Trek used to be a family show, even with all the certain elements that are pushing the button. But it never got unnecessarily lowbrow. It never really got necessarily vulgar. You know what I mean? To that extent, except for Modern Trek. But I just feel like some of the dialogues, like in the beginning, on the attack on Mars, in the beginning of the episode, they show the attack on Mars. They're using modern day terms. Like, it just brings me, like, am I watching Star Trek or some random, or Battlestar Galactica, or some other show that's in the near future but not really future? It's a dystopian. Like, why does Star Trek have to be dystopian? It's not supposed to be dystopian. We get dystopian societies through other species. I don't like them using the modern term hell and like stop using modern slang. Come on, be better than this. But what can you expect from Kurtzman, Trek? But anyways, that Admiral really pissed me off. How she talked to him having hubris. Like please sit down. Of course this is not hubris. This is Jean-Luc Picard. Like the disgust that she spoke to him with. My God, this was disgusting. I wanted this lady, I wanted horrible things to happen to her. And I wanted Jean-Luc Picard to put her in her place. But he's just been maligned by these female characters. First her, then by freaking, what's that lady at the end? It's just like, why does he have to be emasculated like this? Come on. This is Jean-Luc Picard. You don't treat him like this. And Starfleet should be bowing on his knees and making him the damn president of the Federation. How dare you? The man's friend is a geek. He can slap you out of existence in a moment. He can have your ass destroyed. Jean-Luc Picard won't do that. I would do that. But anyways, that bothered me too. That I just feel that's not what Star Trek is. That's just what in Star Trek should be. But anyways, we also find out that those two Romulan agents, or whoever they are in the Federation, is linked to the Romulan on the Borg ship. He's working for one of them, who happens to be his older sister, and she wants him to get whatever information about other sins from Dodge's twin sister. I forget her name. I'll get it next time, I hope. Like I said, some of these names are just forgettable. We kind of end the episode on that note. Picard trying to gather his crew, this Borg reclamation unit, which is going to go wrong at some point. But this episode of Star Trek Picard had some things that really bothered me. If I have anything else to say, I will. In terms of the plot holes, right? There's this idea of the Federation always being racist, or was it ever truly not racist? But even when you had genocide by Section 31, right? There was always that hope. There was always that we're gonna be better. We're gonna pull back. We're not gonna. They did when they saved the founders. They didn't commit genocide. They saved the founders, right? They pulled back. They showed that you can be better. Same thing with Lane. It was shown that yes, he did this, but he was wrong. He was wrong, and it was stopped, and they have to stay vigilant. Federation was not turned into this thing. They reversed that. But I digress. I am enjoying seeing Picard. I am intrigued because it's Picard, because of seeing some nostalgia factor. What I'm not enjoying is his vandalization, I would say, of these characters of Star Trek. And I feel that Star Trek can be better than what the storytelling is. I feel that storytelling in this episode was kind of slow. It was generic. I just want it to be better. And with the format of the show, we're not gonna get those long 26 episode seasons for 7 years that the other shows got to flesh out. These shows have to be good on the spot. We'll see how it rolls out. Hopefully Picard is enough to push forward. I mean, it's just how I honestly feel. Alright, talk to y'all later. This episode's rating is gonna be a 5 out of 10. Just average, slower than the previous one. I felt the previous one was better, but yeah.